Before we start today's video, this is your official warning that there are spoilers ahead for The Mandalorian up through the latest episode as of right now, The Jedi. If you don't want to be spoiled, maybe close the video right now. Okay, that's it. Spoilers coming. In that episode, we had a couple important name drops, specifically Thrawn and Tython. Today I wanted to talk about what Tython is, what its role was in Legends, and what its role so far has been in canon, along with a couple interesting details about how some of those Legends details could come into the new canon. In The Jedi, Ahsoka tells the Mandalorian to take Baby Yoda, aka Grogu, to Tython where he'll find an ancient temple with a strong connection to the Force, and that he should place Grogu on the Seeing Stone at the top of the mountain, where he can call out to other Jedi. We'll talk about the role Tython plays in Star Wars Legends, where it's a lot more fleshed out first. The earliest known periods of Tython involved the creation of a gigantic city by an unknown species, which is believed to later be taken over by one of the earliest dominant species in the galaxy, the Gree, and then later the Qua, and probably the Rakata, who went throughout the galaxy destroying the hyperspace constructs of both the Gree and the Qua. Of particular interest to us is the arrival of the Tho-Yor from the Dawn of the Jedi series in the 37th millennium before the Battle of Yavin. The Tho-Yor was an ancient pyramidal ship which had collected Force sensitives from multiple planets to leave on Tython, resulting in the formation of the Jedi, not Jedi, Order, and leading to the creation of multiple temples on Tython. Eventually, 10,000 years later, in 25793 BBY, the Jedi Order became embroiled in a series of bitter civil wars known as the Force Wars between the followers of the Ashla, or the light side of the Force, and Bogan, or dark side. The Ashla became the Jedi Order that we know today, and well, not today, it's not real, but the Jedi Order that we today are most familiar with from Star Wars. And the Jedi Order, victorious in the wars, abandoned Tython. There were Sith alchemical experiments attempted on the planet, which were rooted out by the Great Hunt in the Jedi Order in 3994, after which the planet was inaccessible for over 300 years, until Satele Shan discovered hyperspace routes to it, establishing once again a Jedi presence and using the planet as a bastion against the Sith. Now in new canon, the planet was re-established in the Nexus of Power Fantasy Flight Games tabletop sourcebook, some other sourcebooks, and then primarily an appearance in the Dr. Aphra comics, where Dr. Aphra leads Darth Vader to the planet, and specifically a location called the Martyrium of Frozen Tears, which, allegedly, was the home of a Jedi confessional made out of kyberite. Very little of the planet's history is established so far in canon, except for something we're going to talk about in a moment, but other sources do indicate it's still in contention as one of the earliest locations of the Jedi, though there are other worlds which could easily end up with that title. The Nexus of Power appearance is particularly interesting, because while the book includes a lot of canon content, it also explicitly retells both the story of Satele Shan re-establishing the planet as a Jedi stronghold, and the much earlier story of the Tho-Yor and the Jedi, indicating that these stories could, essentially in full, be part of the planet's backstory in new canon as well, although it doesn't necessarily as strongly state the Jedi Order as being the origins of the modern Jedi Order. There are other planets and other stories in new canon that kind of bring different groups together for that, so that seems to be the most likely way that's going to go, although this is an explicitly canon source that does mention these things, so depending on how they get adapted by other later sources, that could easily turn into being a similar story for Tython. It is worth noting that the FFG stuff in general does inhabit a kind of interesting situation between Legends and Canon, where there's a lot of bleed through from both. So usually something else would probably take precedence in establishing whether certain information is true in one continuity or both. But it seems easily possible that we could be revisiting one of those ancient Legends temples in The Mandalorian. Either way, we'll have to see what happens with the rest of the show. I'm always excited to visit some of these older established places and find out what it means in the broader canon, or even just to see them in live action. That's always cool as well, even if it's not exactly the same story. Either way, I hope you've enjoyed this quick look back at Tython. Thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.